Yo, what's going on, everybody? Well, on today's episode, we have a guest. And I'm one of those individuals when I have guests, I get too excited and I start telling their story before I let them tell their story. So that don't happen, I'll introduce the guest and then I'll let her tell her story. Today's guest is Simone. She is a author, a speaker, and a podcaster. And I'm excited to have her on the show. So, on behalf of myself and Fast Forward Mindset Motivational Podcast, welcome to today's episode, Simone.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
You're welcome. Glad to have you. So, Simone, I'll let you go ahead and just tell your story and do what you do.
Okay. So, I am a keynote speaker, an author, a podcast host. I started speaking about, I guess, 8 to 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking was never something that I thought I would do. I took a public speaking class in college and I was like, oh gosh, this is hard, right? Like
Yeah.
getting on stage in front of people and pouring your heart out, and it was nerve-wracking, but it's something that I really feel passionate about. I started off my career actually as an accountant. I went to University of Florida, got a bachelor's and master's in accounting, and decided within a couple of years that it wasn't for me, right? I wasn't made to sit behind a desk, crunch numbers. Not that that's all accountants do. One of my best friends is an accountant, and that's not all she does, but that was, and we need the accountants out there, so don't take it personally. But
Yeah, we definitely do.
Yeah. So, but it wasn't for me. And I tried many things over the course of my life. I went back to school to be a teacher. I was in medical sales. I flipped houses, really trying to figure out what my purpose was. And I started doing speaking through volunteer work. The first time I was asked to speak on a stage, they're like, we want you to come and tell your story. And I was like, what story? I don't have a story. Which I think is a very common response for a lot of people. And what I've realized over the years is that most people don't think they have a story. But now what I've realized is we all have a story that can impact so many people. If you change one person's life, you change the world, right? So if you think about it that way, being willing to share your story, first of all, being aware that you have a story, and then being willing to share it, you really can change people's lives. And so I started getting up on stages and I started really liking it. And the girl who was the accountant became an author. So in 2020, I wrote my first book. That book is called The Extraordinary Unordinary You. And
Nice.
thank you. It's all about realizing what you're capable of and recognizing that the little things you do every day matter. The way you talk to your neighbor, right? Not freaking out when someone cuts you off in traffic.
Right.
The way you respect the barista at Starbucks and truly ask them about their day, right? Those things really matter. And I think a lot of times we don't give ourselves credit for the things that we're already doing. So that book really kind of was the jumping point into my writing. And now I write a blog every week. I just finished writing my second book, and that comes out.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, this was a really a labor of love. The first one honestly was a little bit easier because I wrote it over COVID, and I was home. My kids were all home, so I mean, yes, I had to take care of them, but I had plenty of time, and honestly, having them at home reminded me of so many of the stories that I had forgotten about over the years. So,
Wow, that was a great way to use time management, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even though you had all the time in the world, what better time to have put it on something that really meant something?
Yeah, it's interesting how many things popped up for people when you're stuck in one place with the same humans. Either your relationship becomes much stronger or you throw in the towel. My husband and I have been married for 32 years. We did not throw in the towel. And our kids still like us, so that's good news.
That is good news.
Yeah. But it was an interesting time. So I thought, I want to start writing. And when I said to my husband, I think I want to write a book. And he said, that's great. I can't wait to read it. You do know you're an accountant, right? And I said, yeah, but I really want to do this. I had a teacher in elementary school that basically told me that I sucked at writing. And so that was my mindset for so long, was that I sucked at writing, which is not true. Just because someone tells you something, we should not believe it, right? We should
Agreed.
we should like go through and check out what our strengths are and see what we're really passionate about. And for me, I pushed that back for so long because I was told I wasn't good enough, right? And then I told myself I wasn't good enough, which is so ridiculous. So I've been writing a blog for the last 2-3 years now. And so my second book, I just finished and just literally finished the editing. So now it's in like copy editing and I don't have to look at it for a while. Now I've got to work on the promotion part, that's actually the hardest part. So writing a book is one thing. It's getting the world to know about it.
Yeah.
That's even bigger. So it's been a very interesting road. I mean, I'm living a life I never thought I would be. I have 6 children. We adopted our youngest 3 kids. Never would I have thought I would have 6 kids. Okay. Like I wanted 1. My husband at first, he wanted 6. Then we had 1 and I was like, oh, this is amazing. I want 6. And he's like, no, I think we're good with 1. But so we ended up with 6, but we really have such a fun, crazy, beautiful life with lots of challenges because that's part of life. It's not a sugar coating. It's saying like, when we have a challenge, we keep stepping forward. And I think that's a big part of what I do today is really teach women and men about building confidence because when you look at statistics across the board, it's like 80% of people struggle with low self-esteem, right?
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It's very huge. I was sharing with a friend earlier that I'm reading this book and I hope the author doesn't shoot me because I don't remember the author's name, but the book talks about you being afraid to share who you are with the world. And the word, the acronym they use is FOPO, which is fear of others' opinions of you. And it talks about how a lot of us are so fearful to share ourselves because we're worried about others' opinions to where we just sit in the corner and we don't want to share with the world who we are because we're afraid of judgment.
Yeah. And why? Why? Because like, what is judgment going to do to you?
Nothing. You're not going to die from judgment, right?
Right. And so, but that was me for a very long time.
Yeah.
I couldn't share my true self. I hid behind a facade. I pretended I was someone that I wasn't because I was so afraid of being judged. I was so afraid that people wouldn't like me. And then I realized, what am I doing? Like, this is not living. This is pretending, right?
Yeah.
It's performing.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, though, you said something in the beginning that really caught my attention. I want to touch on it lightly. You said that everybody has a story to tell, and I buy that 100%. And a lot of us, like you said, we don't know we have a story to tell. Everyone in my mind, the way I see it, had some type of childhood trauma, whether that trauma was abandonment from a parent, whether that trauma was you're the middle child, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we all dealt with some type of trauma, and that story needs to be told because there's some other person just like you that feels the same way you do. But if you don't share, no one knows your struggles, right? And so I'm one of those guys, I'm like, I'll raise my hand and share who I am, what I struggle with, what I've been through, because I want to add value to someone's life by just sharing my story. Hey, you're not the only one like me. There's a me like you as well.
Yeah. I mean, which is huge. And it took me a long time to get to that point. So when I was in high school, I had an abusive boyfriend, and when I got married, my husband knew about it. My kids knew about it, but I really didn't share it with anybody else because it was a period of time that I felt a lot of shame for. I didn't want to be judged about it. Like, oh, it was my fault. No, it wasn't my fault.
Not at all.
But that was my mindset. And what I realized when I started sharing this story, and honestly, now I've shared it in pockets and I've shared it on podcasts, but then I shared it on a stage last year. And as soon as I shared the story, I actually froze because I didn't realize the power it still held over me because I hadn't been talking about it. The more I talk about it, the more I'm like, yeah, this is what happened, and this doesn't define me, right? And I think so often we hold on to things and it becomes who we are, right? I don't want to be seen as a victim, right? This is what happened, and this is how I moved forward. And that's really why I wrote this book. I mean, this is a big opening in my book where I talk about the one of the very specific incidents that happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
And because if it can help another woman that's going
Mm-hmm.
through something like that, if it can help another man that's going through something, it's all worth it. And
Right.
I think we're always so afraid that people are going to pass judgment. But what I realized is the more I share my story, the more people come up to me and say, I had a situation just like that. Or
Yep.
my daughter is going through this. Can you help me? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
it really makes you take a step back and say, wow, this is not what I expected or not what I thought would happen, because I had it so set in my mind that,
Mm-hmm.
ooh, if I share something, people are going to think poorly of me, which is so ridiculous.
Right. We are unaware of our own power that we have, because that's
Mm.
powerful, right? And for you to share that story, someone's going to admire that, and like you said, reach out and say, hey, can you help me? I'm dealing with this, or I know someone who's experiencing that. So it's a very powerful story to tell.
Yeah. And what you said before, like everybody's been through something. So if you look
Mm-hmm.
back at your life, you can really pinpoint, okay, this is where I started struggling with this. I think so often. I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist. I
Mm-hmm.
am a coach, right? But when I truly believe, you can look back and say, and this incident, this is when I started feeling like this. But a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
we don't take the time to look back because we don't want to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
But if we look back, like for me, when I looked back and said, oh, this is why I held up this facade for so long. This is why I didn't cry for years, right? All of
Mm-hmm.
these different things that it wasn't obvious to me until I really took a deep look at it. And once I did, I was like, oh, this is not who I'm meant to be. This is not who I
Right.
want to be. And I have the power to change that. I have the power to change the way I see myself. I have the power to change the way I move forward in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And but we have to take the time to really look at ourselves and see how we want to move forward.
100% agree. Yeah. When I was 21, I found out who I thought was my father was not my father. And the gentleman that is my father, I knew him, not personally, but I knew who he was. And I'll tell you, Simone, that just wrecked my life. And for years, I ran from it. Oh, no, it didn't ruin me. I'm better. I'm okay. I'm good. But I got into binge drinking, right? I got into hanging out with crowds who self-sabotage themselves like I did. I just circled myself around the wrong people because I was hurt. And it took me 10 years when I turned 33, 34, I think it was, I really realized how heavy that weighed on my life. And I started sharing that story with people because I was embarrassed to share it because I thought people would make fun of me. They would laugh at me. But when I started sharing it, people started coming forward, like you said, like, hey, that happened to me as well. And so it's like I said, it's powerful, right? It's just being able to get on that stage and share with people without feeling judged.
Yeah, and it's really finding the first person that you can share with, right? You find a
Hmm.
person that they're like your inner circle. You're not going to be judged, because when we hold things inside for so long, it just affects us in such negative ways.
Hmm.
And I know that for a fact. I know that's how I lived my life for so long, that pretending, that performing, and we shouldn't have to live that way. And there's not one person in this world that doesn't struggle with something. I think we
Yep.
we we look at social media and we think, oh, this person has the most perfect life, or wow, their family is so beautiful and they're just all so happy. And okay, go spend a day inside the walls, right?
Hmm.
There's always something that's happening. And but we
Yeah.
we try to tell ourselves like we're the only one that struggles. We're the only one that has, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah. You can say
Oh,
whatever you want,
oh,
Simone.
we're the only one that, our life is a shit show. No, that
Yeah.
is not true at all.
Not at
And but
all.
but because we see these pretty pictures on Facebook of all the
Hmm.
skinny women and the beautiful bikinis and all their kids are so like prim and
Yeah.
proper, and it's like, no, that's bullshit. That's not real life.
It's not. It's not. Social media is a huge facade, right? Everyone looks good on camera.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're supposed to look good on camera. It's supposed to be your best shot, right? So what about the shot that we didn't see? It's kind of funny, like how that works, but we really buy into that hey, their life is perfect. I wish they had the money they had. my biggest thing, Simone, is that people feel like that if they had more money, their life would be
Mm.
better, and then I'm like, that's not true. I mean, you look at some of the famous actors and rappers and singers. They have all this money, they have fame, but they have just as many problems as we have, minus the money.
Yeah.
And that's a point that I want people to know. Like, hey, money's not going to fix your problems. You can fix your problems, but it's internal.
Yeah, and I'm wondering when we look at those people and we think
Hmm.
maybe the difference for them is that they really haven't dealt with the things that they've struggled with their whole life. So they just try to move forward with something different
Yeah.
instead of saying like, here's my real story.
Hmm.
But, if they tell the world, will the world accept them in the same capacity as a famous actor or actress if you
Right.
show your dirty truths? I don't know, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's hard. I mean, I being in the spotlight all the time, you see so many child actors and actresses that have so
Hmm.
many issues moving forward. Not all of them, of course, it's an overgeneralization, but when you're in the spotlight, you can't be your true self, right? You have
Right.
to you perform, but I don't necessarily believe that's true. I think you should be who you
Hmm.
are. I love this transformation with Pam Anderson
Hmm.
and how she now goes without makeup, right?
Yeah.
She goes as her true. Not I'm not saying like okay, you have to go without makeup. I wear makeup all the time. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm not but when I record however I want to. I'm not wearing makeup
Right.
now. When I record with
Right.
my daughter, most of the time we're like, okay, we're turning on the camera. It doesn't matter what it looks like, right? And she's like,
Yeah.
I'm in my comfy clothes. I was like, so you mean your PJs? She goes, well, I can't call them PJs because I didn't actually wear them to sleep last night, but they're like PJ-esque, right? And but I think that's so important that we
Hmm.
are who we are and we show our true selves because it really gives permission for other people to say,
Hmm.
oh wait, I don't have to put up this fake, I don't have to put up the facade, I can
Yeah.
actually be who I am because other people are doing it too. Now the sad
Hmm.
part is that we actually have to look at other people to believe that, where I truly believe you should be who you are. You should
Yeah.
just move forward as you are. Doesn't matter what anybody else is doing.
Agreed.
And
I mean, that's why I got this podcast. If you think, like we said, there's a lot of ex-sports players, actors that has podcasts now, and when you level yourself up or compare yourself to them, you're thinking like it'll never work for me because everyone knows them. But at the end of the day, no, that doesn't matter because there's someone who are ex-professional players. You can have a podcast as well. So it doesn't mean you always got to, like you said, wear the makeup to show your beauty. You can be behind the camera without the makeup on and still show your beauty from the inside.
yeah, and what I've realized so I have a podcast with my 22-year-old daughter. So out of six
Hmm.
kids, one of them's willing to have a podcast, which I think is a pretty good percentage, honestly, because
Yeah, it is.
most kids would not want to have a podcast with their mom. So I feel
No.
very honored that she does,
Hmm.
and we have really amazing conversations. But it is when we first started, it was like kind of a way to help ourselves, right? The things that we were struggling with. And then it
Hmm.
became a realization, wait, our stories can help other people as well. And I don't know, I think we're at like 150 episodes around there. We've been doing it for almost 3 years. And it's one of my favorite parts of my week is to record an episode, whether we have a guest or whether it's just the two of us, because it's almost like a therapy session, right? And when
Yep.
we're with a guest, it's really learning something new and it's really being able to express myself in ways, and for herself too,
Yep.
in ways that we might not do in our regular everyday life.
Yeah, and I watched a couple of your episodes with your daughter, just so you know.
Oh,
The
thank you.
one I like the most is when you were telling her that you don't want to be a parent to tell her how to live her life, but
Mm.
you made mistakes and you want to prevent her from making those mistakes. But you realize you got to hands off, let her make those mistakes so she can grow. So I really love that because as a parent, Simone, you're right. We want to guide our kids. Hey, don't go right, go left. Don't do this, don't do that. I've done that and it didn't work for me. But if we guide them their whole life, they're not, when they make the mistakes, they're going to come back to us. When you make a mistake, you should be able to find a way to pick yourself up off the ground and go a different direction to either make that mistake better or just move forward. So I love that part because you and your daughter were able to talk about that. Most parents can't and kids can't do that because their differences are just too outspoken to where they end up just butting heads.
Yeah. And she actually, we had
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if it was part of that episode, but we talked about why we
Mm-hmm.
have such a good relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much with all of my kids, we have really good relationships. I mean, there's every time, with every kid, there's some days that are like, oh, well, that was a crappy day. I mean, that's real
Yeah.
life, right? But
Yeah.
overall, like, I know my kids are really good humans
That's
and
good.
they really care. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
very fortunate. But what she said to me, which I thought was really interesting, is I was like,
Mm-hmm.
why do you think we have such a good relationship? And she said,
Mm-hmm.
because you never judged. And
Yep.
she goes, no matter what I did, you always said, how can I help? Instead of, oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, I can't believe you did that. You're an idiot, right?
Yep.
Where, not that my parents said it like that, but my parents would say, oh, what will other people think? Which is kind of like the same effect.
Yeah.
If you're constantly, when you do something, oh, what will other people think? Well, that must be really bad. If we're worried
Mm-hmm.
about what other people think, then you have it in your head that you're doing something bad all the time. And so I appreciated that feedback from her that and obviously I learned that because that's what I went through, was that I felt like I was constantly being judged. And so the goal was not to judge, but to say, and I would tell them my ridiculous stories of what I did
Mm-hmm.
when I was in high school and college. And she'd be like, I can't believe you're that dumb. I was like, oh, thank you so much. Right.
Yeah.
But that's real life, right?
It
And
is.
so it wasn't telling her those things to say, oh, you absolutely can't do that. But as soon as you tell a story like that, they're like, oh my gosh, mom, I would never do that. That is really dumb.
Right.
So I
And
didn't
you're
even
just
really have
sharing
to.
your mistakes.
Yeah.
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 And I didn't have to tell them, like, don't do that. As soon as I shared, they were like, that was dumb. I was like, yeah. Huh?
Exactly.
So I was like, oh, that kind of worked. That kind of worked. It's like,
Don't do
whew,
what mom
okay.
did.
Yeah.
Right.
Without me even having to say it. Like, they said
Yeah.
it. They were like, oh, that was stupid. Don't do what she did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and that really brings me to like where I am
Mhm.
today, so I created what I call the real method, which is
Okay.
really a way to move forward with confidence. So it stands for respect yourself, embrace your failures, ask yourself what you want, and live without limits. And a lot of times people say, well, why'd you start with respect? And I think that it's not just because real is a cool word. I'm sure I could come up with something else if respect wasn't what I thought. But the idea of self-respect, I think, is foundational for everything we do. Because if we don't respect ourselves, how do we expect other people to respect us?
100% agreed. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember as a child, as a teenager, I was taught to respect my elders, my peers, right? My teachers, my grandparents, all of those things. But never once do I remember being taught that the most important person to respect is myself. And I think that's critical, right? We need to be taught that we need to respect ourselves. We need to be able to set boundaries. We need to be able to say no to things. And that is so, like, for me, it's crazy to think that, wait, that's not part of everybody's agenda every day to say, wait, you need to respect yourself, right?
Yeah.
And for so long, I didn't even realize that I was disrespecting myself because I was so used to that voice inside my head that would tell me, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not skinny enough. And I didn't know how to kind of fight back on that because that's just who I was, or that's who I thought I was.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, so one of the little things I do now, I created a little, I'll say it's a mindset hack, but
Okay.
it's a mindset reset. So back in the day, it's used for something different these days, but Control Alt Delete. So 3 keys on your computer. Now I think it brings up some kind of screen, but it used to actually restart your computer. So that's the way I look at it, is that using that to kind of restart how you're thinking. And so the first control is the awareness, being aware that you have negative thoughts coming in your head and they're not real, right? We're making stuff up all day long because we think we're not good enough. We think we're not smart enough, whatever it is that we think. So having that awareness to say, like, we can control these thoughts, that's the first step. The next step is alt, which is alternative, right? There's always an alternative for everything we do, right? The way we talk to ourselves is so important. So instead of saying, I can't do something, why not say, I can do it, right? I'm going to put in the work. Instead of saying, what if I fail? What if we say, when I succeed? And there's so much science and behind this in terms of what you say to yourself, how you say it to yourself, that it actually changes neural pathways in your brain so that you do start believing these things, right? If we can say negative things to ourselves all day long and believe them, why can't we say positive things all day long and believe them? And the last step is
Exactly.
delete. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and we do it all the time, right? I mean, and I'll just finish. The last step is delete, which is delete the things that don't serve you. Delete the comparison game. Delete the belief that you're not enough. There's so many things that we have going all day long that if we would just delete those and reset, restart, we would have a completely different mindset. And so, you know, it's deleting the negativity in your life, and sometimes it's deleting the toxic relationships, and sometimes the toxic relationship is the relationship you have with yourself.
Right.
And so it's really
Yeah.
it's taking a step back and saying, okay, what do I really believe? Like, what am I really doing right now? And
Yeah.
So I use that on a regular basis to kind of go through a situation when I'm like really struggling with, I call it the what if whisperer, also known as Sally, my voice inside my head. So when my voice inside my head gets really loud about stuff, I take a step back and ask myself, is this real, or is this something that I'm just saying because I don't know what to do with myself right now?
Right. No, I love how you put that, because that exactly is what I share with my listeners, is, and then the ones the clients I have that I coach, same way, right? It's about the respect. It's about be aware of your mindset. And because when you wake up in the morning, your mindset tells you 1,000 things that are incorrect. But if you buy into those things, you'll find yourself living that lifestyle. But if you can overturn those negative things and turn them into positive things and just change your wording just a little bit, your life gets that much better. And it's funny how people really don't understand that, because they don't take the time out to try those mechanisms, Simone. First of all, they feel like it's too time consuming, it's too much. But when they actually physically do, they're like, I changed my life because I changed the way I think. And it started
Yeah.
with self-respect. It started with awareness, right? It started with telling myself the things that come to my mind, it's not true. It's fake. It's just fear. So I love how you put that, and I love your control alt delete method, because we have to have something that's going to get us out of a bad day when we're having a bad day or having a bad day with our thoughts. We've got to find a way to get ourselves out of that. And without having a mechanism for that, you're going to fail every single time.
I 100% believe that. I mean, the way we talk to ourselves becomes the life that we live, right? So if we wake up every day and say, you have a choice, right? You have a choice when you wake up in the morning. Yes, there's external factors, right? We all go through something, but you can choose to be miserable and you can choose to be happy. And you can choose that you can talk to yourself with kindness, or you can choose to berate yourself all day long. What life do you want to live? Do you wake up every day and say, oh, I really want to treat myself like shit today? Okay, well, no. So don't do it, right? I mean, it's like you have that choice. You have to take back your power to say that I am more than enough. And why I wouldn't treat my best friend like this. Why would I treat myself like this?
Right. Yeah. Agreed. And hey, I have 2 questions for you.
Yes.
One question is, can you share, because I know you shared two positive mechanisms right now of how to deal with bad thoughts with the awareness and then respect part. But can you share that when your clients come to you and they want help building their self-confidence, what is one method, or what do you share with them to get them on track to help them build confidence?
One thing is specifically you have to take action. So we can say all the things that we want to do, but if you don't actually do them, you don't move forward. You don't trust yourself. So whether you say you're going to make your bed, right? If you're going to read a book, take the action, because the building of trust is so important towards confidence. It's the trust in yourself. You don't need permission from anybody else. You don't need external validation. You need the validation from yourself. You need the permission from yourself. So, I mean, really, number 1 is you have to take action. And I'll give you a number 2, because this is something I used to do about myself for so long. And now that I'm really focused on it, I hear it so much with other people. Drop the just, right?
Yeah.
We say all the time, oh, I'm like, for me, for a while, I'm just a stay-at-home mom. I'm just Rob's wife. I'm just a volunteer. No, you're not just anything. You don't need to justify your life by using that word, because the words you say are very powerful. So as soon as you say, I'm just a stay-at-home mom. That sounds like crappy, right?
Hmm?
Like
Right.
take ownership of who you are and what you do instead of trying to justify it to someone else because you think that maybe their life is better than yours, right?
Yeah.
Again, everyone struggles. You don't justify your life. You take
Right.
ownership for who you are.
Yep. Don't
So those are
devalue.
two things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those are great things. Thank you. I was going to say, don't devalue who you are because of where you are in life. Everything has a value, and if you're a stay-home mom, you should value being a stay-home mom. There's a lot of benefits to that, right? And so, but sometimes, like you said, we just forget and just make it sound like it's just nothing. I'm just a podcaster. That's all.
Yeah.
So,
You know how much work goes into that? It's a
oh
lot
my
of work.
gosh. I cannot tell
So,
you. You know, you're a podcaster. So, yeah,
yeah.
it's funny. The other day, like I was sharing earlier before we started recording, Simone, I'm recording and I feel like I was having the best episode I had in a while. You know, you just feel like you're having a great episode. Right in the middle of that, Riverside just cuts out and quit recording. And so I had to start all over and I had to try to mimic that same podcast I had just recorded. And I was like, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it, but I just worked my way through it. But to your point, yeah, there's a lot of work that you put into it. And if you put in that much work, make sure you feel value or value yourself for what you've done.
Yeah. And in my real method, that's like the third part is ask yourself what you want. Is this what you want to be doing? Right.
Right.
And I think that's something that we don't do for ourselves, with ourselves very often is really take a step back and say, why are we doing what we're doing? And we should love what we're doing. We should be passionate. Yes, you have to pay the bills. I'm not saying go quit your job.
Yeah.
But I think that, I'm not telling you that. So don't come back and say, she said, quit my job. No, I didn't say quit your job. But you can find good things in whatever you do, right?
Yeah.
It's the mindset that you take into your job. If you walk in every day saying like the best part of my day is when I leave, like that, you're never going to have a good day. So think about it in a different way so that your day, again, you have that choice. Do you want your day to be miserable or do you want it to be happy? Because we all have situations that we don't love, but
Right.
there's a way to approach it with a mindset that will be like, you know what? That was a pretty good day.
Definitely. Hey, Simone, you shared some very valuable information, and I'm sure my listeners are going to love it. Thank you for being on the episode. I just want to ask one last thing for the episode. I will put your contact information for your website, your book, or whatever it is you want me to add. And this is just more for my listeners. Hey, listeners, if you want to contact Simone, you're interested in some of her coaching or her book, her information will be in the podcast episode description. So you'll be able to go and click on the link, and it should take you to her, to contact her or either her book, whichever one you're interested in.
Perfect.
So,
thank you so much.
You're welcome. Today has been a great podcast, Simone, and I'm hoping in the future that I can have you back on to share some more of your nuggets because you gave some good information today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I enjoyed being here.
You're welcome. Thank you, and you have a wonderful day. And like I said, on behalf of myself and my podcast, Fast Forward Mindset Motivational, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.